Straightforward Studios has published a new Gamescom trailer for Project Motor Racing, revealing some new fresh details and pieces of content. As I had previously done a deep dive into the reveal announcement trailer, I thought it would be fitting to do the same thing here with the Gamescom trailer, going through it with a fine set of eyes, trying to pick out all the hidden little details that you may have missed. It also provides an opportunity to confirm a couple of the things that I had assumed in the previous reveal announcement trailer, as well as making a couple of little corrections. If you haven't yet seen that deep dive into the reveal announcement trailer, feel free to click on the card up in the top right hand corner here to take a look at that. And as well, if you haven't seen the Gamescom trailer for Project Motor Racing as of yet, feel free to go check out the link down in the description below. I'll leave a link to the actual trailer itself there, so you can watch it in its full entirety without any pauses, breaks, or me talking over the top of it. So let's grab that magnifying glass, buckle in, and let's take a deep dive into this Gamescom trailer and all its juicy details.
Rated E for everyone.
Right, I'm going to pause it here because straight away I need to correct myself on something that I completely missed and somehow managed to overlook when I did a deep dive into the reveal announcement trailer. And that was me saying that they hadn't confirmed the Nürburgring Nordschleife to be in the game. Yet at the very end of the trailer, there was a splash screen with three cars, the Lamborghini hypercar, the Lister Storm, and one other car was there in the background. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. All three of them going through this exact corner that we see here, which of course is the carousel from the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And I rather stupidly said in that deep dive analysis that they hadn't confirmed the Nürburgring Nordschleife, despite a couple of places looking like it and a few people speculating that it was. I'll hold my hands up here. I got that completely wrong. Somehow it was staring me straight in the face and I completely missed it. A few people did correct me on, I think, Reddit and also in the YouTube comments as well, saying that it's there in the game. How did you miss this, Yorkie? But obviously, this is a much more official confirmation now that the track is definitely going to be in the game, which is really cool to see. So yeah, I've got to hold my hands up there and say I did get that wrong, but it's nice to see that Nordschleife is confirmed for PMR. So again, a few nice lovely shots of the circuit, and we can see that it's quite foggy, relatively low light conditions. This looks to be probably in the morning, and obviously the track and ground surface is also wet as well. So I think they're pretty much confirming here that we will get wet weather. Whether we'll get with dynamic weather, I imagine we will, considering that was one of the main selling points of Project Cars, and obviously a lot of other racing sims do have that as well. But some really nice lighting effects with the God rays kind of coming in from behind the trees here. But nice to see that the track is wet and that we will be getting wet and should be getting dynamic weather here with Project Motor Racing as well. And here we go, our first proper look at one of the new cars that is being confirmed. I did spot this car, the Porsche 917K, in the UI menus in that reveal announcement trailer. It wasn't officially shown in any real sort of capacity, but it was there in the background menus that we saw, and I managed to pick out this car as well as a couple of others that are confirmed here in this trailer. But it's good to see that they have got Porsche on board as one of the brands, one of the manufacturers that will be featured in Project Motor Racing, as well as 69 other cars spanning across the course of 50 odd years. So a first little bit of information, we do get a few of these little pop-ups around the screen throughout the trailer. We'll try and capture those as we go along. But yeah, good to see this Porsche 917 is going to be included in the game as well. All right, we're going to pause here because we have the Porsche 962. Now, this didn't actually feature in the reveal trailer, so we didn't pick up on it. However, Ian Bell, a long time ago, was teasing a number of screenshots on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, of some Group C cars, one of them being the Porsche 962C that we see here in the trailer. Very, very cool to see it actually confirmed, and as we can see, 10 plus definitive racing classes. Now, as mentioned in the previous reveal trailer analysis that I did when I looked through the blog post, one of the objectives of Project Motor Racing is to actually try and cover the entirety of the car classes that they are featuring within their game, rather than just doing a highlights package of, say, 2 or 3 cars from each car class, and basically just kind of having the best of those. Instead, they want to have the pretty much or as much of the roster as they possibly can from each car class. So Group C, pretty much confirmed here. Excited to see what other Group C cars actually come in. One thing that I do hope they do with the historic cars, especially those that span a number of years, is that they provide a good balance of performance. Either possibly, say, like a realistic option, where the cars are at their real performance levels as they were in reality, but then also an actual, say, like an artificially balanced option, because those cars that race in the later years, say, take Group C that kind of spanned 5, 6, 7, 8 years, however long it did actually race for. The cars in those later years were much, much better and much quicker than those cars in the earlier years. Obviously, trying to balance that in a realistic way is really quite difficult, but hopefully they do provide us with some balance of performance options so that the performance of the cars is equal, and in online racing scenarios, we get that nice breadth of diversity of people choosing whichever car they fancy across the entire car class, rather than just picking the fastest 1 or 2 cars that completely dominate the rest. One thing that Project Cars 2 suffered from. Hopefully, they do take that into consideration and rectify that for the future here in Project Motor Racing as well. So, continuing on. So again, another transition, and we've got the Porsche 911 GT1 98, and we're also at the Nürburgring GP circuit. We can see as we come around the corner here, we just had a very quick shot of it. The Mercedes grandstand that we can see there, and they're kind of coming out of the stadium section through turn 4. This will be coming out the exit of that. But a GT1 car, which is really cool to see. Very, very nice to have featured. Nice kick up of gravel there. And there we got confirmed 18 scanned locations. Now, in what capacity that these have been scanned will be interesting to see, because there's a number of different options that are available to developers at kind of this point in time. Obviously, you've got laser scanning, which is obviously your typical one that the majority of development companies creating racing games, racing sims tend to use. But you also have photo scanning, which is something that Slightly Mad Studios did do for a number of tracks in Project Cars 2 and Project Cars 3, which is obviously a slight difference to laser scanning. There's also LiDAR scanning as well. So how they've actually scanned all these 18 tracks, whether they've done it themselves or whether they're buying scans from third parties, because there are now a few companies out there who do laser scan circuits and then keep them in their library to then sell to developers, rather than developers having to go out there and do the laser scanning themselves. Obviously, the circuits as well, when they license those, they may have a scan within their database that they can provide to developers, but it all depends on the actual licensing deal that they get with those circuits. But it's good to see 18 scanned locations. Obviously, with them being scanned, they should be higher quality, much higher accuracy, rather than having a whole load of circuits. It looks like they're going for more quality over quantity approach. Okay, we're going to pause here because this car isn't new to Project Motor Racing. This car did feature in the reveal announcement trailer, but there are some details about it that are different to the reveal announcement trailer. So previously, the car was covered in a number of fake sponsors. The livery design looked real and matched a real-world Audi R8 LMP 900, which is what this car is. However, all the sponsors on it were fake. Now, however, all those fake sponsors have gone, and we now have an FSI Power sponsor here on the car that we can see. So it looks like that the car was previously covered with the fake sponsors, and now that they are starting to basically sign their licensing deals and getting brands in and things like that, they're now actually starting to put the real sponsors back onto the car. So hopefully we will see more of those real sponsors appearing on this livery and making it look even more realistic than it previously was. So benchmark physics and handling, there's a little thing that's coming up there, fairly generic terms. They've obviously talked a fair amount about the physics engine that they are running in a number of their previous videos and pieces of marketing material. And the other new exciting piece of content is the circuit that we are here driving or looking at these cars is Monza. So that is another new track that hasn't been showcased yet as we're going through Lesmo 1 and 2. And then a very nice transition to Donington Park. And boom, look at this. 2 Porsche 911 RSR 996s. Now, these will feature as part of the N-GT class. We did speculate in the reveal announcement trailer that these cars may feature in it because when we were looking at the UI, looking through the list, the silhouette of a car looked very, very similar to these Porsche 911 RSR 996s that we are seeing here on the screen. Now, obviously, I did say it could be these cars, or it could be the TVR Tuscan, which was the other car that they had officially announced at that point in their car roster list on their website. But the silhouette of the car looked more like a Porsche to me. And obviously, seeing these cars here at Donington Park now officially confirms that. We're also seeing our first little bit of damage here with these two cars making contact with one another, and then the bodywork, the front bumpers, declipping or decoupling from the chassis of the car in a fairly appropriate manner, I would say. Obviously, there's not too much damage here. They just basically unclipped themselves and are now hanging fairly loose on the corners, but quite a nice little detail there to see. Now, very, very quickly, crossplay ranked online. Now, this is very exciting and something that we're going to start seeing, I imagine, a fair bit more in a variety of different racing sims going forward, because as far as I know, the only sims that have kind of confirmed crossplay or have crossplay are Assetto Corsa Competizione and Rennsport as well, I think have mentioned. I can't quite remember correctly off the top of my head because I'm not really following Rennsport or paying too much attention to it at the moment, but I'm pretty sure they have mentioned that they are planning on doing crossplay in the future when the game comes out on console. Now, with ACC, the crossplay at the moment only works between the PlayStation and Xbox, so just the two console platforms. Whereas with Project Motor Racing, they're going to be doing it across all 3 platforms, so PC, Xbox, and PlayStation will all have crossplay and be able to play against one another no matter the platform that you are on, and that's specifically calling out ranked online here in this section. So I imagine that's going to be the ranked servers or ranked lobbies featuring that as well. That also means that, well, that's obviously a good thing for a lot of players because it means that pretty much no matter the time of day or no matter your region, you should be able to find people to race against, because you're basically the pools that you're grabbing the players in for those ranked events is going to be much, much larger. It's not just restricted to the specific platform that you're on. But the other great thing about that will also mean that there's no disparity between basically the PC platform and the console platforms. All 3 should be completely in sync in terms of, well, 1, their updates, 2, their physics and everything else with regards to that as well. So obviously very, very exciting for console players because it's not often that they keep up quite as closely as the PC platform does in other racing sims. Very, very cool feature. I imagine there's probably going to be some concerns with regards to basically, console players and their mentality or driving ability against PC players. That kind of, I guess, elitism there. But there's obviously very good console players out there, and providing that the rank system works appropriately, you should get match made against people with similar sort of skill levels and sort of safety ratings to your own. So that shouldn't be too much of a concern, hopefully. But still, a very, very cool, exciting feature coming to Project Motor Racing. Let's continue on with the trailer. Very nice particle effects there with gravel, grass, debris being kicked up as this Aston Martin DBR9 GT1 car goes spinning through the gravel. We'll come back to this shot in a moment, but we'll continue on for now. So we get some nice deformation there on the bodywork, some nice glowing brake discs, some nice glowing brake lights, and also with the glowing brake disc as well. It's really, really nice to see that the lights actually illuminate the environment. Obviously, we were in very, very damp and foggy conditions here, but you can see the glow around the brake lights. So it's not. It looks like they're not just a brighter texture that comes on and off whenever, say, the brake lights come on. They actually are lights that kind of project into the environment. You can see it reflecting here on the road as well. And we've got our next statement at the top of the screen: the True to Track dynamic and adaptive system. I imagine this is their new improved version of LiveTrack 3.0, which is what we had at Slightly Mad Studios. Obviously, there's Railroad, Dynamic Track, various different racing sims have their own dynamic track effective system and call it various different names, but Straight 4 Studios have got a new system that they're called True to Track. Very, very exciting to see. I'm excited and curious to see how far this system goes. I imagine they're trying to basically hit LiveTrack 3.0 levels, if not higher. Project Cars 4 would have had a new LiveTrack 4 system, which was even more realistic and even more impressive than what LiveTrack 3.0 was. So I imagine they're trying to hit that sort of thing. But let's go back to this first shot of the Aston Martin sequence here and play on just a little bit to around about there, because one thing that I haven't seen anyone else pick up on is the actual circuit that is here in the background. Now, throughout this entire sequence, they've been quite clever with their camera placement, putting it very, very close, or a lot of focus on the cars and not really showing too much of the wider background. Apart from this shot and a couple of others, there's a few giveaway details as to what this circuit may be. I don't think anyone else has mentioned it. I think that this is Zolder. I think this is the exit of turn 4 on the run down to the first chicane. In the background here, you can see a second catch fencing, which I think is on the outside of the pit entry in turn 1. We've got trees here in the background, which will be on the inside of turn 1. Looks like buildings in and amongst the trees, the flagpole here with the floodlights halfway down, and then also the building here. So if we jump to Google Maps, this is where I think we are. This is the gravel trap that the car is skidding sideways through. And I think this is what we're seeing in the background, jumping back and forth between the two. Flagpoles, or sorry, the lighting poles here are very, very similar. There's 2 spotlights at the top of the one in the trailer rather than a 2, but you've got spotlights halfway down. As you can see, the building silhouette and the tree silhouette and the fencing silhouettes are all very, very similar, if not pretty much match with what we're seeing here in the trailer. Now, if we continue on, obviously we're seeing a little tiny snippets of the circuit in the background, which is quite forestry, but this is the other telling sign for me. So at the bottom in the foreground, ignore the very, very nicely detailed car there. That is obviously the main focus and the main draw, but bring your eyes to the foreground, because we've got sleeping policeman here on the inside, a set of bollards, another sleeping policeman, and then we've got this drainage guttering here on the inside of the corner as well. I reckon this is the second chicane, or the inside of the second chicane at Monza, because if we have a look at that, we can see 1, 2 sleeping policemen, drainage guttering there on the inside. Now, obviously, there's no bollards on the inside here. However, there has been bollards in the past, and they have also featured there on the inside, I believe, in the Project Cars series, and probably a number of other titles as well. And then there's one more shot in the actual trailer itself. It's not this one. It's this one here, which I also think is a little bit telling and resembling Solder, which I think is, if we go back to Google Maps once again and go on a little bit further to this right-hander, I believe is nice and low down to this inside curbing here, as we've got the trees in the background, we've got the fencing leaning in the same way, the concrete wall on the inside, you've got a nice amount of camber there on the inside, and the cars are going through a right-hander. If we go back to the trailer, it all kind of matches up. The only thing that kind of looks different and kind of separates itself from that is this line going through the concrete wall here on the inside, because if we go back to that actual concrete barrier, there is no line, but it could be some like Tech Pro or something that the track artists have just stuck on the inside just on their own. But it looks so very, very similar, and I'm speculating and assuming that this is going to be Zolder. Everything kind of marries up and matches with it. And the other thing that is also a giveaway is Zolder did feature on the FIA GT1 Championship, I believe, in the years of 2011 and 2012. So it fits perfectly with the cars that are being used here, which are the GT cars, as we got the Aston Martin DBR9 GT1. There's also the Lamborghini Murcielago that we've seen as well in the clips of the earlier on when the car was spinning through the gravel. There it is. There's the Lamborghini there in the background. So I'm going to assume and going to guess that the circuit that no one else has really picked up on that I have seen, there may have been someone else who has spotted this. I reckon this is Zolder. We shall have to wait and see to get official confirmation on that. Very fun transition there. I love what they did going to the land down under the other side of the world, coming to Bathurst Mount Panorama. And we'll pause here because a couple of snippets. Obviously, we can see we're at Bathurst here in the background, as I've just mentioned. We also have the Ford Mustang GT4 car here in the foreground that's driving around. Now, I did initially get very, very excited, hoping that this was going to be the Ford Mustang from the Australian supercar series. However, that is not the case. This is a GT4 Ford Mustang, as when I looked it up, the front end didn't quite match, and I was like, okay, I wonder if it's a GT4 version. And if you bring up a picture of the GT4, you can see that the rear wing supports, the wing mirrors, the side skirts, and the front bodywork and geometry all matches up with the actual GT4 version of the car as well. So cool to see a new car being featured here. It does also sound very, very nice in the trailer, as we have just heard. But we've also got confirmation of mods on both PC and console. Now, I did talk about this a little bit in the reveal trailer announcement analysis going through the blog post. They're doing an interesting methodology in terms of integrating mods into the game. But it's very, very exciting to see that console are going to also be able to make use of the mods that do get put into Project Motor Racing. And it's very, very nice to see that in a whole number of areas where consoles usually do get left behind because of their aging performance and architecture over the years, that Project Motor Racing are making pretty significant efforts to try and keep parity there between console and PC platforms, which obviously, if they're doing crossplay across all three, they are going to need to do. Dramatic music. We'll get onto the music in just a second, but we have here two more cars. The Porsche 911 GT3 are the 991 car, and we also have the new Aston Martin Vantage Evo that we can see here as well. We're also back at the Nürburgring GP circuit, and we shall continue on just a little bit more, because there is something that I want to pick up on. Well, actually, two things I want to pick up on. First thing, arcade physics confirmed. We are doing 193 kilometers an hour through the carousel, only 100 kilometers an hour faster than a GT3 car would typically do through the carousel. Obviously, that's a whole load of tosh. That's just a funny little joke, because if we actually go back just a tiny little bit here and play the sequence through, the dash, the rev lights, they're all fixed. They weren't moving at all. So, yeah, that's just a load of rubbish. But one thing I do actually want to pick up on with this sequence, with these GT3 cars here, is if we come to this shot here, is that there has been some licensing updates to what I had previously noticed in the reveal trailer, where I said that they didn't have any championship branding on any of the cars or the number plates or anything like that, but now they do, and that is in the form of IMSA WeatherTech series. We can see here that we've got the IMSA number plate with some IMSA logos on the Heart of Racing Aston Martin. There is the IMSA logo down there, and that's also basically being indicated with similar IMSA-related telltale signs and branding around on the cars as well. So it's nice to see that they have added those. The things that are standing out to us here, or standing out to me, is with the IMSA branding licensing deal, the number plates have to basically correspond with the class colors. They need to have the WeatherTech logos and the other IMSA related logos on the cars in those number plates. The wing mirrors, the ends of the rear wings, and then also the corners of the windshield banners also need to match with the class colors of the IMSA classes. And there also needs to be the IMSA logo in a couple of places in and around on the car, as well as the Michelin logo there on the front, as well as the Moto logo there on the front, and then on the rear, we get a shot of that in just a moment. You need to have the VP Racing Fuels and also the actual Michelin Man logo there on the back as well. The lighting in this is actually really, really nice here on the Porsche. Looks very, very photorealistic. Looks really, really nice. There's also the class logo there as well. So with the IMSA classes, GTD Pro is red and GTD is green. We have seen that the Aston Martin in the earlier shot is from the GTD Pro class, as well as these two Porsches here. And then as we cycle on, we've got a GTD standard car class with green indicated here. So all these sort of various different telltale signs are appearing. Now, it'll be interesting to see how this is actually integrated. There were one or two questions floating around in my mind with regards to, say, the fictional liveries, whether they'll be updated to include IMSA branding. And with this shot, that question is answered, because this is, I believe, a fictional livery here on this Porsche. At least the sponsorship that we see here on the car, I don't believe are real brands, yet it has the IMSA branding there on the car. Be interesting to see how far they actually go with the IMSA branding, because although they have obviously got that licensing deal now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to include or have all the tracks and all the cars. You still have to approach the tracks and the manufacturers separately, getting the licenses specifically for those cars. I know that with the IMSA branding, you do also get access to use the teams as well as the driver names if you really wanted to, but it depends on how deep they've gone with the with that specific licensing deal. But it's good to see that even with the fictional liveries, they'll be made to look real with some real world championship branding on there. And I wonder if the GT3 class is going to convert to GTD to reflect this this licensing deal that they now have. Either way, really nice sequence. Hello, more hypercars. So yes, they revealed that they got the Lamborghini SC63 hypercar in the previous reveal trailer. Now we see the Porsche 963 LMDH/GTP car, and here we can see some more of the IMSA branding. So as I mentioned, GTD Pro is red, GTD is green. The hypercar or the GTP class within IMSA is black. They only have that actually on the number plates. They do have stipulations or restrictions on the windshield banners that they have to be the manufacturer, and they either alternate between black and white depending on the car. So obviously the teams can still distinguish between the two cars. They have free reign over what they want to do with regards to the wing mirrors. I think the end plates on the wings do have to be black as well. But we can see the IMSA Endurance Cup and the IMSA WeatherTech logo sponsoring there. We've also got Motul and the Michelin. This is an official livery of the number 6 Porsche Penske that we see. And hello, Aston Martin Valkyrie. Oh yes, we could see those Heart of Racing. They're represented in the background, the two variants that they are running. There we can see more confirmation. Car's looking really, really nice. And the other thing that we also just very, very quickly and briefly saw just there that flashed up, Spa-Francorchamps. This looks like, as well as we go through the trailer, this is the newer version of Spa that they have. And there we have the end. Now, this is the same splash screen that was there in the reveal trailer. However, there were some differences. The Lamborghini here was devoid of the championship logos in and around the number boards, as well as the IMSA required sponsors on the car. So this is obviously now being updated to reflect the latest licensing deals. The other things that I wanted to kind of pick up here on that previous sequence is first, this. It's a standing start. Standing start with GTP cars. Now, typically in sports car racing, they use rolling starts. Hopefully, they will include rolling starts in the future. Obviously, a few people, I have seen comments saying that it's a bit of a shame to only see, or it's a little bit concerning to only see 8 cars here on the grid rolling away, but this may just be them wanting to specifically show the hypercar / GTP class here within the trailer. And I've just done that little restriction for that. But yeah, hopefully we do get rolling starts. And the other thing is the music. Now, I just wanted to play that out again just so you can listen to it and enjoy it, feel the emotion that it produces, because it is an iconic song of Stephen Baisted's basically production that he has done over the years. It first featured in GTR 2. I can't remember if it featured in Need for Speed Shift 1 and 2, but it was definitely there in Project Cars 1, and it was there in Project Cars 2 as well. It's been named a number of various different things, from Spa 24 Hours to just Spa, and then Spa 24-2017 or remastered. But it was going to be coming back for Project Cars 4. A bit of insider knowledge, because obviously Stephen Baisted was part of the team. I was part of the Slightly Managed Studios team as well. And he and his orchestral and brass group produced some absolutely stunning pieces of music for the game. One of the biggest disappointments for me when Project Cars 4 got cancelled was the fact that the music that they produced for Project Cars 4 was never going to see the light of day. I'm hoping and I'm praying that Stephen Baisted actually has the licensing rights to all that music and not EA. and therefore they can use that music here in Project Motor Racing, because it was just absolutely stunning. It was so reminiscent of Project Cars 2, a soundtrack that a lot of people loved, and it was just brought up a whole new level in terms of production and just the emotion that the music actually produced. And actually listening and comparing the copies of the soundtrack that I have for Project Cars 4 and the song that was going to feature in that title, and the one here in this trailer, which has obviously been spliced up and kind of cut, merged. I think there's one or two small tweaks to it as well, but it is oh so very, very similar. So I am hoping, really hoping, and fingers crossed, that some of the music, if not the Spa track that we hear in this trailer, which produces a fantastic nod to the past of Project Cars and the amazing talent that Stephen Bastead has, as well as his orchestral and brass band that he often works with. The musical talent will come through and be here in Project Motor Racing as well. But basically, that is the Project Motor Racing Gamescom trailer. Let us know down in the comment section below what you thought of the trailer. Are you excited for the game? Are you still a little bit nervous and apprehensive? Let us know your thoughts. Are there any other details that I ended up missing from this trailer that you have noticed? Feel free to put those down in the comment section below as well. But other than that, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time, have fun, stay safe, take care.